Good afternoon, traders. This is a live trade recap, sort of. I'm actually still in the trade, so it's going to be a bit of a live trade, and it's with ticker symbol ON. So what's happened with this one is it hasn't hit my profit target or my stop loss yet. It looks like it's on my way to the profit target, luckily, but it's past 10:30, and that's my cutoff to look for trades or even to just kind of watch the markets or look at any trades that I'm in. If I'm still in a trade at 10:30 a.m. Eastern time, I have to just let it play out and move on with my day. I have my bracket orders in place, so there's only two outcomes that are possible. Either it hits my stop loss or it hits my profit target, and either of those are good. Obviously, I'd prefer it to hit my profit target, but there's nothing else for me to do at that point. So let me show you my screener. I always like to show you how I pick these stocks. So we go up to my screeners, Midish Cap Stocks. That's the screener that I use. Click on those three little dots, click modify. Otherwise, your filters will not be applied. And then I organize the list by volume. So you click on this until you could see the highest volume stocks at the top of the list. So at the open, ON was one of the very top stocks. It still is. It was probably 2 or 3 at the open. And it was one of a few that were going up, but it was going up by a lot. The percent change is very high compared to most of the other stocks. SAVA was also up there with a big percent change, but it's trading way below its yesterday's high, so there was really nothing for me to look at there. And nothing really compared to ON today, so I just decided to focus on that stock, and if I had to use all 3 trades on it, I was going to do that, but so far I've only used 1 trade, and it's still playing out. So let's take a look now at the video. And you could see this is right around the market open here at 9:30 and some change. So let's take a look at what I'm putting. So ON was the first thing that I put on my list, and it should be up on the daily chart. Yeah, so here we go. So you can see it on the daily chart, and there is the 200 moving average on the daily chart. So whenever the price is above the 200 moving average on the daily chart, that is a signal or a sign that the price is trending up in the long term. So to me, that just gives me a little bit better odds that a 2-hour trade is going to happen, that I'm going to get into a good trade and the price is going to continue higher because I'm trading with the trend. So everyone says the trend is your friend, and so far that's proving true in my test trading because I am so far up 14 times my risk after trading this for about 5 weeks. So that's working out. Of course, there's many other factors into whether the trade works out or not, but that's one that I stick by. Every single trade I've taken so far during this test trading has been on stocks that have been trading above the 200 moving average on the daily chart. So now the next step is I look at the 1-minute time frame and I figure out where the high of the previous session is. That could be the high of the aftermarket, the pre-market, or yesterday. Whichever is highest, that's where this yellow line goes. So you can see that it established a new high in the pre-market at about 43.19. So my strategy says the price must trade above that line. It must get above that line. And then on the first 1-minute candle to make a new high after a pullback, that's where I enter. So at this point, this has just triggered me to look for an entry on ON. So here's Sava, which is also above the 200 daily average, I believe. I check it right here. Yeah. So that one's trading above the 200 moving average on the daily chart. But if you look at, let's see, yeah. So if you look at it on the 1-minute chart or just compare it to the pre-market or yesterday, I believe it's yesterday actually. Yesterday. Today's Monday. It's Friday. So on Friday it was trading around 95.15. That was its high. And today it's around $70, $80 area. So it's nowhere near the previous high. So I just decided to focus on that. Under Armour also looked pretty decent, but it was kind of low volume. And it was almost down at the bottom of the first page. So ON just looked so strong to me that I decided that was going to be the one I was going to focus on, and that was the one I was going to use all 3 trades with. So here is where I put in my order. Let me just back it up a little bit. I did kind of miss the ideal entry by just a little bit, and I'll show you what happened there. Let me just go back to right before the order. So I'm hovering over, well, no, I'm not. Let me get to where I'm hovering over that candle. It looks like I was on the... Okay, let's see. Here it comes. There we go. Okay, hovering over this red candle. The high is 44.15. So that means my ideal entry will be 44.16 if this candle breaks over that level, which it does. Of course, I would have preferred like another red candle or something like that, but you don't always get what you want, and you have to take the entry that it meets your criteria and your setup, and this does. So let's watch on the bubble here. I was looking down at Under Armour when it triggered my entry. So the moment I looked up and saw that it was right near where I wanted to enter, I went ahead and triggered my hotkeys. That way, if this thing just took off and ran, I didn't miss my entry. So let's take a look at the bubble. We'll see how much I missed it by. So we're looking for 44.16 or better. So look over here. So it kept coming up and pulling back down. So there we go. It looked like almost the moment that I was looking at Under Armour is when it triggered my entry. And there I finally realized it, and I got in at 44.23. It doesn't look like it would have made a whole lot of difference, because if you saw that initial pop, it went to like 44.19 right off the bat, which I believe is where it was when I triggered my entry, and I got filled at 44.23. Because there was probably a lot of other people looking for that same entry that I was. So as soon as that happens, as soon as I get filled, I move my stop loss up to the low of the previous candle, and that way it protects me just in case this was a fake breakout and it starts to flush down really quickly against me. It minimizes my loss, and that's extremely important, especially in the long run. That could eat away at your profits quite a bit. So now I'm using my 2-hour calculator, which you can download from the Facebook trading group by the same name, Trading Armour. And that gives me my profit target. I just put in my entry price and my stop loss, and then that spits out the profit target, and I can just move the target in place. So there we go. Now I'm set to 45.99, and I don't have anything else to do at this point. Everything is all set, and I did put in my ideal entry, which was 44.16, I guess, and marked out where that profit target would have been. It's about 21 cents lower than the actual target. So let's fast forward and see what happens with this trade. So here's where this is one thing that I like to do, is once I've decided, okay, this is the stock I'm going to commit to, is I change my grid size here to just 4 ticker symbols. Obviously the SPY and the NASDAQ, I'm just watching to see what the market does, not trying to take any trades on those. And SPXL, it's my swing trade, just allows me to keep an eye on it. And so now we're just watching ON. And what happens here is it just kind of consolidates a little bit and then gives me a pullback. Never comes and hits my stop loss, but doesn't look extremely promising. And I actually go and check the daily chart just to see, where there's some previous resistance, and it was like at 44.59. So it makes sense that it stopped at 44.60. But a lot of times these strong stocks, especially when you get a ton of volume coming in like this, they push right through those levels. So that's why if I see this kind of strength, I just get in on the first pullback, the first opportunity to get in, and then you just kind of, I'm going to say hope for the best, but again, this is all based on strategy and statistics data that I've collected now for really hundreds of trades. This specific type of trading with these mid caps, I have now 55 trades of data collected, so it's still a decent amount. And it tells me that more often than not, or at least enough times to keep me above break even, that these trades do work out. So that's what I mean by I just take the best entry I can and go with the best setup and the best stock of the day. And then I hope that my statistics play out. That's really where the hope is. So here's the price coming down near my stop. Looks like it's going to stop me out, but it doesn't. And this is, the important thing about just following your plan and your strategy, because sometimes it comes all the way down to your stop and maybe even touches that, 43.35 level, but doesn't stop you out because maybe there's no bid at that price, bounces off and goes to 2R. I've seen it happen many, many times. So no reason to be scared that it's coming near your stop. There's only 2 things that I do at that point. I either just do nothing, or I can get ready to take the next trade if it stops me out. So at one point, I don't know, I think I did it already. Yeah, see, I marked out the bottom of the ABCD pattern. That way, if it did stop me out, I can keep an eye on the price and know that just in case the chart advances quite a bit, if the price goes down below this line, then I know not to take any more trades on it because the ABCD pattern has failed at that point and the stock is weak. So that's the only thing I do. Just let the trade play out. And you can see it's kind of trying to get back up and then always getting pushed back down. But in general now it's kind of making an ascending wedge pattern, which is, promising. But none of that stuff changes my trade. I just look at it and take note of it. And obviously there's a level here now. If it breaks out of it, it could show strength. But if it doesn't break out of that, it could be weak. So you never know what's going to happen. So the best thing to do is just trade off of your statistics, follow your plan, follow your strategy. Look what's happening now as things starting to run. Remember the previous resistance was 44.60. So of course, if I'm watching this thing, I'm saying, okay, if it breaks out over that level, this thing could be strong, and look what happens. So it's going over 44.60. I wasn't watching this thing play out the whole morning. I went off and got coffee and all that kind of stuff. I don't worry about these trades once I'm in them. I just have my phone next to me so that if it does stop me out, I can come back here to my desktop and take the next trade. But the last thing you really want to do is just torture yourself by watching the chart the whole time. So this is going to take us right up to 10:30 Eastern time, which is where I stopped recording because that's when I stopped looking at the chart. And right now it's 10:50 a.m. and I've been making this video for quite a while now, so I haven't checked the chart or anything. And that's all part of the plan because you don't want to just be bogged down your whole day by, okay, I'm stuck looking at this chart. So that's it for this video for the recording that I have, but we can look at the chart now. It's 10:50 a.m. And if it hasn't, obviously it hasn't filled us because we haven't got an alert or anything. Here, let's go to charts only. We can see where it's at now. So it looks like it stopped at 45.18 and starting to head back down. So I'm just going to let this thing play out, and I will update the first comment on this video and let you know what happened at the end of the day. Right now it looks like it's heading back down to stop us out, but I really have no idea what's going to happen. And I don't need to really worry about it because I have these bracket orders in place. Worst case scenario, I get stopped out and I lose 1 R for the day. I'm up 14 R on this plan since I started trading it. If you watched my video from this weekend, you know that I'm up 14 R. So if I lose this trade, I'm up 13 R. So not a big deal. And it's only going to be a 1 trade day because 10:30 has already passed and there was no other trades for me to take. The only time I would use all 3 trades is, let's say I got stopped out before 10:30 and then got stopped out again before 10:30, then I would use all 3 trades. So I decided just to focus on this stock, and that's where I'm at right now. So anyway, hopefully this video was helpful to you. There's nothing to enter into my spreadsheet yet, so I'm not going to show you that at this point. You'll see that, I guess, tomorrow, as long as we actually complete a trade before I make a video. And that's it. So as always, go into every single trade with a plan. Stick to your plan no matter what. Take your stop losses, honor your profit target, and in the long run, you should be green. Take care.